Coming up on this episode of Sports for Beginners, the podcast, our series of PWHL Draft 2026 recap continues. Our stoppage here will be at the two-time Walter Cup champion, Minnesota Frost. I'm Scott McGregor. Welcome to a new episode of Sports for Beginners and the continuing coverage of the PWHL 2026 Draft Recap. Let's get this show on the road. Welcome to Sports for Beginners. This is the show where I cover the Pittsburgh Penguins, Toronto Blue Jays, and take you on a journey through the world of sports. From the fans' perspective, here is your host, Scott McGregor. Let's have some fun. Hello, everybody, and welcome to a new episode of Sports for Beginners, the podcast. This is episode 11 of season number 5. Originally, we were going to have a guest on this show, but due to technical issues, that will have to wait till a future episode down the stretch. That episode was to feature the series debut of a conversation about the Atlas Cup, and we were talking with Philip Hoover Smoot. My name is Scott McGregor. In place of that interview until further notice, when we're able to do it on an episode, hopefully we're able to do it before we get to our season finale, our continuing coverage of the PWHL 2026 Draft Recap Series continues, and on this episode, we're diving into the two-time Walter Cup champion, Minnesota Frost, draft class of 2026. This is stop number 2 of 12 in the PWHL. And for those who are not aware, before we get started going round by round, as this episode will be dedicated directly around the PWHL started in 2023 with 6 teams when it began play in 2024 for its inaugural season. These would later be known, as they are known today, as the Toronto Scepters. The champions this season, going into the 4th season of PWHL action, Montreal Victoire, Ottawa Charge, and of course, on the American side, for the original 6, we had the teams that were formerly known as the league itself, as were those Canadian squads. I just mentioned the team names, as they are now called. But the American squads, as they are called today, would be called the Boston Fleet, the Minnesota Frost, our topic of conversation on this episode, and of course, the New York Sirens. Since the conclusion of season number 3 in PWHL history, which concluded prior to the draft earlier this June, on June 17th, let's just say we had a league of 8 teams prior to the new 4 teams that just joined the league and will begin play in their inaugural season in 2026-2027 season, which, as I understand it, until we see any expansion news or in terms of games, all 12 teams will play, as I understand it, from when the 2 teams that made it an 8-team league, with the distribution of the Vancouver Golden Eyes and the Seattle Torrent, would play 30 games in that particular season. Now, what will the total of games be for the 2026-2027 season? Probably 30 games, we shall see. But quickly here, before we go to a commercial break, and we'll get to the draft after the commercial break, the recent additions to the Canadian and American side of the PWHL. Please welcome PWHL Hamilton on the Canadian side, PWHL San Jose, PWHL Las Vegas, and PWHL Detroit. Those are on the American side. Las Vegas, San Jose, and PWHL Detroit. Speaking of Detroit, when we get to that side of our draft recap, as we will remind you before we go to a commercial break here, and we will do this throughout our audio recording of these shows, the draft was taking place in the home town of PWHL Detroit, Detroit, Michigan. But it did not take place at the home arena of PWHL Detroit, which also happens to be home to the NBA's Detroit Pistons and the NHL's Detroit Red Wings. We'll touch on more about that during our PWHL Detroit draft class recap. But right now, we're going to step aside for a second to hear some quick words from the folks at Sienna T Radio, making your day brighter one song at a time, and our good folk over at the Musa Slobodian Network. Who knows? We may even have an announcement for you before we get down to draft talk. Stay tuned. We'll be right back in a moment. Don't go anywhere. There's more great conversations and content right around the corner. Sports for Beginners will be right back in a moment.
Hey Allie, did you know we have a books panel?
I did not know that. When is it?
It takes place on the last Friday of each month at 7:30 p.m. Eastern.
Where we have fun and engaging conversations.
About a book that one of the panelists picks.
So, how can I learn more about the show?
To learn more, please visit bookspanel.ca. While you're there, subscribe to the newsletter so you never miss an update. Besides, it's free. Enter your email and hit subscribe.
The Books Pen is part of the Musa Slobodian Network, where good conversations happen.
To learn more about the network, please visit themusaslobodiannetwork.ca. While you're over there, hit subscribe so you never miss a network update. Enter your email and hit subscribe.
Sienna T Radio will never give you up. They will never let you down, nor will they run around or desert you. So join Nick Astley for The Melting Pot every Saturday on Sienna T Radio. Hang on a minute. He's not Nick Astley. Oh, jings, I've done it wrong. Anyway, just join Nick for The Melting Pot on Sienna T Radio.
Have you ever wanted a talk show that discusses news, politics, the show's favorite sports teams, as well as sports media and broadcasting? Check out The Ali Musa Show, where we discuss these topics in a single package. To learn more about the show, please visit thealimusashow.ca. While you're over there, subscribe to the newsletter so you never miss an update. Besides, it's free. Enter your email address and hit subscribe.
The Ali Musa Show is part of the Musa Slobodian Network, where good conversations happen. To learn more about the network, please visit the MusaSlobodianNetwork.ca. While you're there, subscribe so you never miss a network update. Enter your email and hit subscribe.
Now, let's take you back to the action. To the rink and field we go. We find Scott McGregor.
All right, thank you very much, Sienna. Thank you very much, Nick. Your contributions to our show, welcoming us back into the studio, are greatly appreciated. Speaking of which, welcome back to episode 11. Season number 5 of Sports for Beginners. I'm your host, Scott McGregor. Our coverage of PWHL Draft Recap 2026 classes continues on this episode. It's in place of an interview we were going to have with Philip Hoover Smoot, CEO of Atlas Cup. We will see if we can get Philip, the CEO of Atlas Cup, on our program as best as we can. We are rescheduling that as we speak, but that's okay. Let's keep it to our topic for today. And our topic for today is the continuation of the PWHL 2026 Draft Class Series. For the recap, our team of choice, say hello to the Minnesota Frost Draft Class of 2026. The Minnesota Frost had a pick in each round of the draft, including the first round, where they had a pick at number 9 overall. They also had the 21st pick, the 33rd overall pick, the 45th overall pick, 57th overall pick, and 69th overall pick to wrap it up. We're going to do this recap in a series of rounds, starting with rounds 1 to 3 and wrapping up with rounds 4 to 6, including round 5. But it should be noted, as I noted on the Golden Eyes recap of their draft class, that trades happened. And of course, the draft class that I go over has also been traded over the course of the first couple of weeks after the draft, since the signing period began, in the 6th phase of the 6 phases in the expansion building process. All right, I did have some quick breaking news to bring to you. And it's a very, very, very exciting time for Sports for Beginners. Ladies and gentlemen, as of today, as of 34 minutes ago, at the time of our recording, which is Monday, July 6, 2026, Sports for Beginners, the podcast, has hit another milestone. This week's milestone: 10,000 plays and downloads. Well done for all of our listeners, whether you've been with us since the very beginning or are just coming on to check us out. We really, really appreciate everything that you do to get us into as many ears as possible. We may not always be current, but we're working on it the best that we can. Speaking of that breaking news of our milestone, 10,000 plays and downloads, we have, over the last 30 days, 5,253 plays and downloads. Our audience has grown also. 5,316 audience members, which is plus 10,123.1%. Woohoo! And we have plus 6,988 998.6% in plays and downloads, plus the number that I just mentioned in our plays and downloads. Well done for Sports for Beginners. I really am impressed with that. All time, we have 22 followers. And in all-time plays and downloads, just to wrap it up here, 13,475 plays and downloads all time. Woo-hoo. That is a heck of a lot of plays and downloads all time, considering the fact that over the last 30 days it's only been 5,253. Wow. Okay. Anyways, we're getting off topic. Let's stay on topic. Sorry about that if I went a little high there. I'm trying to keep my voice at bay as much as I can. Okay, anyways. Let's get down to business, shall we? I think we shall. As I mentioned before we went to the breaking news, the Minnesota Frost had the picks of 9th, 21st, 33rd, 45th, 57th, and 69th in each of their rounds. Here's who they selected in each round. Let's start with rounds 1 through 3 with the 9th pick overall in the 2026 PWHL draft. The two-time Minnesota Frost champions, I should say Walter Cup champions, they're obviously not the champions this year, but the two-time Walter Cup champion Minnesota Frost would select Sara Swiderski, defenseman out of Ohio State University NCAA, a Canadian. Not too shabby in a nationality, and great pick overall at 9th overall. I honestly thought, as someone who doesn't watch the draft as often, I honestly thought someone like Sara would go maybe a little earlier or a little later, maybe at 20th or between 5th and 6th. We will see what the next year's draft looks like, to be honest. Anyways, moving on. That was Minnesota's first overall selection. They would pick 21st in the second round and select Vivi Vainikka, forward, Sweden. Sweden. That's a Swedish league, excuse me. Her nationality is Finnish, so she is from Finland. Very nice pick. On to round number 3. In round number 3, Minnesota would pick 33rd overall, which sets them up to pick just before the end of the round, right behind the Toronto Scepters, and their pick would be Maddy from Penn State University. She is a American nationality, coming out of the NCAA Hockey League at college level. Maddy, forward out of Penn State University. All right, folks, we are approaching our next break. And you know what? Who says we don't have to do 4 rounds before our next commercial break? Let's go ahead and do the 45th pick for Minnesota. And then when we come back, we'll get to 5 and 6. So this segment has now become rounds 1 to 4. That's okay. Who says we need to go to break before getting down to the final 2 rounds? Let's at least get past round 4 before we go to break. In that round, they would pick 45th overall, and heading to the Minnesota Frost with that pick, please welcome Canadian athlete Tova Henderson, defenseman out of University of Minnesota. Tova Henderson is en route to Minnesota and part of their draft class. Round 5 and 6 for Minnesota coming up in just a few short moments, but first we'll take a commercial break. And since we're already halfway through their draft class, we want to remind you as we go to break, and as we will remind you by the end of the show, that we will be touching on our next PWHL 2026 draft class during what we call Last Call on our program a little bit later. And I also will be giving you an update on what's to come on Sports for Beginners before the show is up. Coming up after the break, however, rounds 5 to 6 for the draft class of 2026 for PWHL Minnesota, also known as Minnesota Frost. Who did they select 57th overall? And who did they select 69th overall? Which two picks do I think were pretty good? Is there a pick I was a little sketchy about? You'll find out all those answers when we continue. Hang with us. Sports for Beginners, Episode 11, Season 5, will continue in a moment. Don't go anywhere. There's more great conversations and content right around the corner. Sports for Beginners will be right back in a moment.
Hello fans, it's Scott McGregor, host of Sports for Beginners, the podcast, and Bills Postgame. Join us this season, both the day after the game and the day before the game, or day of the game, for some Bills postgame / pregame before they kick off action, with tons of great content for you to enjoy. It all kicks off in week 1, so be sure to check out the Buffalo Bills schedule. And new this year, we're going to try our best to get you some preseason action. Get us a look at the action between the Buffalo Bills and their preseason opponents. You won't want to miss it. It all happens exclusively on Sports for Beginners, the podcast, coming your way this summer. You won't want to miss it. Let's go, Bills. Let's go, Bills Mafia. It's coming your way. Don't miss it.
Hi, Scott. It's Ali here. I just wanted to mention that I'm really enjoying the show, and I'm really enjoying what you're putting together. And I wanted to just say I'm enjoying being a part of it as well. So please keep up the phenomenal work, and make sure you guys keep this podcast going because it really suits you well.
Have you ever wondered about the books we've been reading throughout the week?
Are you looking for friendly banter and technology tips at the same time?
Then you've come to the right place.
Check out the Ali and McCara Show. It airs live on Sunday afternoons at 3:30 p.m. Eastern.
Until spring. In the spring, we'll switch back to Mondays.
To learn more about the show, please visit thealiandmccarashow.ca.
While you're there, subscribe to the newsletter so you never miss an update. And besides, it's free.
Enter your email address and hit subscribe.
The Ali and McCara Show is part of the Musa Slobodian Network, where good conversations happen.
To learn more about the network, please visit themusaslobodiannetwork.ca.
Enter your email and hit subscribe so you never miss network updates.
Take another look with Gerda Felix and Melanie Taddeo Malo, two powerful women of diverse backgrounds having genuine, unique, and uncomfortable conversations that everyone needs to have. Join Melanie and Gerda for conversations about what is missing from human connections.
Now, let's take you back to the action. To the rink and field we go. We find Scott McGregor.
All right, folks, welcome back to Sports for Beginners, episode 11, season 5. I'm your lovely host, Scott McGregor. Our topic of conversation on this episode, in place of an interview we were going to have with Philip Hoover Smoot on the thrill of space racing, as well as a few other things, that is being rescheduled as we speak. The topic of conversation on this episode continues on our PWHL 2026 draft class recap. With this week's episode pit stop in Minneapolis, Minnesota, checking out the draft class of 2026 for the two-time Walter Cup champion, Minnesota Frost. When we last left, we explained, for those who weren't with us earlier, even if you're just joining us, we had mentioned that with the 9th pick of the 2026 PWHL draft, the 9th pick of the PWHL draft, Minnesota selected Sara Swiderski. Hopefully I got that correct. Sara, if I pronounce your last name wrong, sincerest apologies to you. With the 21st pick, which was in the second round, 21st pick of the draft, the Minnesota Frost had selected Vivi Vainikka. Hopefully I'm pronouncing that correct. If I did not pronounce that correct, I sincerely apologize to all players who have been drafted and all players who are currently playing with Minnesota as well as other teams, in case I do pronounce anyone's name wrong. We also mentioned that in the third round, where the Frost would select 33rd overall, Minnesota would select Maddy Christian. And last but certainly not least, in case you missed it before the break, with the 45th pick in the fourth round and 45th pick overall of the draft, the Frost selected Tova Henderson. All right, we've got you up to speed here. Let's keep the train rolling. In the 5th round of a 6-round draft, which, just to be clear, was not 7 rounds, it was actually 6 rounds, and all of the 6 rounds played out on the exact same day. Anyways, Minnesota would pick 7th in this round and have the 57th pick overall, in which they would select Doraya Gridzen. Hopefully I pronounced that right. If I didn't pronounce it right, again, apologies. Darya Gridzen, goaltender from the ZHHL, a Russian nationality, and a goaltender out of the, apologies if I'm pronouncing the name wrong. Just in case I have not pronounced any of the names correctly, apologies if I pronounce anyone's name incorrectly. I didn't want to take a shot at the league because I knew that I was already kind of mispronouncing this player's name wrong, so I didn't want to take a shot at the league because I was worried that I would mess it up. So I just brought out the league, but not the team name. Apologies, but I just didn't want to mess that up. That is their 5th round draft pick. Now in the 6th round, they selected 9th overall, pretty close to the end of the draft. With that pick, I won't get this one wrong. I don't think I'm going to get this player's name wrong. But with the 9th pick in the 6th round and 69th pick overall, the Minnesota Frost selected Laura Beecher, forward out of Clarkson University, is an American citizen and playing outside of the NC. And there you have it. The 2026 draft class for the Minnesota Frost of the PWHL for 2026's draft. All right. So there were 2 picks. Not that I found sketchy, but there were 2 picks that I did like. And number 1 was the Tova Henderson pick. As someone who doesn't watch a lot of college or other league hockey, especially when it comes to women hockey, I thought this was a slam dunk for Minnesota. The 45th pick, she could have gone 33rd, 21st, or even 9th overall if you got really lucky. I don't think picking her at 45th overall was a good idea, but I guess her stats might speak for themselves. I'm not really going to go into them because I didn't have a chance to look at them yet, and I will try to have a look at them the best that I can. I do like this goaltending pick. Would have been an earlier pick for me personally if I was in Minnesota's position for the GM, but you got to pick where you got to get. And also you got to stick to your needs. And if you need goaltending or you need defensemen or even forwards, you got to go where you got to go to get what you want to get in the draft, because you may have to sign some undrafted people if they went undrafted in the draft class. Laura Breacher, I also like that pick, but that was one that I thought could have been a little earlier. Not to say that the pick 9th overall, an interesting pick for them. And honestly, the fact that Laura was picked last in the draft, I thought she would have gone a lot earlier. But hey, at least she wasn't picked not great, because it is great. At least you get drafted by somebody. But even if you went undrafted, it's not all that bad. Yes, you want to have your moment on the podium, whether you are drafted or not, but I'm pretty sure your moment will come. I think this draft class was pretty good, but I'm not sure how I would rank it to the Vancouver draft class of 2026. Maybe I gotta rank teams that have already been in the league now for 3 seasons, going on their 4th season, by the draft class that they had at that time. Of course, those are with some familiars, by the way, like Taylor Heisey, just to name one of the players that I believe is continuing to play on Minnesota. I'll have to double check their roster to see if she was moved or not. I don't believe she was moved, but that's something for me to check out. All right, folks, we have reached the last call moment. But before we get to last call, some quick Sports for Beginners news for you. Join us dates after the Buffalo Bills preseason games for the return of Bills post-game. That's right, Bills football is coming back to Sports for Beginners for another season, and we will try to have guests on for Bills coverage content on our season as well, like, for example, Ryan Talbot. Maybe Matt Perino, we will see, and we will see what we can do. Maybe we'll do a couple of solo shows, we will see. But that all begins starting this preseason as we towards our anniversary show in August. Whether we can get to that or not, well, that will depend on how much we can get done prior to then. Also returning, we likely will have a little Dolphins football coverage coming back to the show, but we will see how Thomas and I plan that out for you. Bills football, however, is returning this August, so make sure you check it out. And of course, we'll also try to have spots in the episodes for updates on ongoing events like the FIFA World Cup going on right now. And speaking of which, I know I said this was going to be dedicated to the PWHL, but why not add the FIFA World Cup as the round of 16 is currently going on to see who has advanced to the quarterfinal. We'll get an update on that as we get to last call when the episode of this Sports for Beginners show, episode 11 of season 5, continues. Last call is next with a little soccer update from the FIFA World Cup as the round of 16 continues. Who has made it to the quarterfinals? Find out when we return. Also, when we return, who's up next for PWHL 2026 Draft Class Recap in our series of Draft Class Recaps? Those answers coming up when we return. Hang with us. We'll be back in a moment.
Don't go anywhere. There's more great conversations and content right around the corner. Sports for Beginners will be right back in a moment.
CNT Radio will never give you up. They will never let you down, nor will they run around or desert you. So join Nick Astley for the Melting Pot every Saturday on CNT Radio. Hang on a minute. He's not Nick Astley. Oh, jings, I've done it wrong. Anyway, just join Nick for the Melting Pot on CNT Radio.
Hey, Allie, did you know we have a books panel?
I did not know that. When is it?
It takes place on the last Friday of each month at 7:30 p.m. Eastern,
Where we have fun and engaging conversations.
about a book that one of the panelists picks.
So, how can I learn more about the show?
To learn more, please visit bookspanel.ca. While you're there, subscribe to the newsletter so you never miss an update. Besides, it's free. Enter your email and hit subscribe.
The Books Pen is part of the Musa Slobodian Network, where good conversations happen.
To learn more about the network, please visit themusaslobodiannetwork.ca. While you're over there, hit subscribe so you never miss a network update. Enter your email and hit subscribe.
Now, let's take you back to the action. To the rink and field we go. We find Scott McGregor.
All right, folks, welcome back to Sports for Beginners, episode 11, season 5. Back with you for just a few more minutes. It is last call time. And as we approach last call, want to start off last call before we get to the upcoming PWHL 2026 Draft Class Recap next stop on our 12-episode series of PWHL 2026 Draft Class Recap. We want to take some time here on last call to talk FIFA World Cup as the round of 16 has started and is on the verge of concluding by the time you hear this episode on the Friday of which the episode will have started the quarterfinals in the FIFA World Cup. All of the round of 16 matchups will be completed, but at the time of this recording, Here are the teams that have made it from the round of 32 into the round of 16, as well as the teams that have so far qualified for the quarterfinals, which begin this Thursday, July 9th, 2026. Into the round of 16, we have a bracket of Paraguay, who took on France, a bracket of Canada, who took on Morocco. We have also the bracket of Brazil taking on Norway, Mexico taking on England, Belgium taking on the US, which at the timing of our recording is coming our way in about a couple of hours from now at 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Central, 5 p.m. Pacific, barring time and also weather conditions. Going on right now, we have the bracket of Portugal versus Spain. They are in the 37th minute as we speak, going into the 38th minute, I believe, of play. No score there. USA and Belgium getting going at 8 o'clock if weather allows it and time allows it. Tomorrow, when the round of 16 wraps up, you've got the brackets of Argentina versus Egypt and Switzerland versus Colombia. When we begin the quarterfinals, which will begin on Thursday, we will have a matchup of France versus Morocco, with the winner facing the winner of whoever advances from Portugal and Spain, and US and Belgium, which take place today at the timing of our recording. On July 11th, we will see Norway go head-to-head with, am I reading that right? England? Let's go England! England has knocked out Mexico despite a 30-minute rain delay that delayed their game originally scheduled for 8 p.m. Eastern until 9 p.m. Eastern. So both Canada and Mexico have been eliminated, which leaves only one host left. Will that host make it to the quarterfinal? We're going to have to wait and find out. By the time you hear the episode, we'll know the answer. Of course, England and Norway at 5 p.m. on July 11th. Now, the other games are set to be determined, but they will likely play out with a 3 p.m. game starting on Friday, July the 10th, and there is one more game scheduled for Saturday, July 11th. That will be ultimately a game that will decide who faces off against Norway or England, and most likely will be between whoever wins tomorrow's matchups between Argentina and Egypt, and Switzerland versus Colombia. We shall wait and see. And speaking of waiting and seeing, it's time to talk next up on PWHL's 2026 Draft Class Recap Series. Out of 12, 2 draft class down, 10 to go. And next time, as we will split it between the US side of the PWHL and the Canadian side of the PWHL, we continue in the US by taking a look at the Seattle Torrent. How did the Torrent do at the 2026 PWHL draft? Who did they select? Are there any picks in that draft class that I think may be sketchy or were good? Find out on our next episode, which will come your way next week or the week after, depending on when we can do it, as we await our interview episode with Philip Hoover Smoot. One last thing as we wrap it up here. In case you missed it, Sports for Beginners today, at the timing of our recording, surpassed 10,000 plays and downloads. We hit that milestone today. As of 1 hour ago, 2:48 p.m. Eastern. It is now 3:48 p.m. Eastern on the day of our recording, Monday, July 6, 2026. For all those American fans out there, hope you all had a wonderful July 4th. Maybe caught some baseball action, Blue Jays action, or maybe you catch some FIFA action. Maybe you're keeping up with free agency in the NHL and the NBA and perhaps the PWHL. Maybe you caught a WNBA game. Maybe you caught a WNBA game. I don't know. Anyways, that will just about do it for us here today on the show. Thank you so much for hopping on with us. But don't worry, I will be back with you next week for another episode of the podcast. Until then, my name is Scott McGregor, and we will talk to you again next week right here in Sports for Beginners. Have a great week, everyone, and we'll see you next time. Thank you so much for listening to Sports for Beginners. If you would like to learn more about the show, you can visit the podcast Facebook page or visit the official website. You can also send us an email at sportsforbeginnerspodcast8231@gmail.com. As we always remind you, it is not goodbye, it is until next time.